Good morning, my dear students. Uh, Welcome back. Today, we will discuss the topic immunity. It is from the second PUC biology. The chapter is human health and disease. You may ask, what is immunity? My answer is that is, the immunity is the ability of an organism which will having the resist or eliminate the disease causing microorganisms. I repeat once again, the definition of the immunity is that the ability of the organisms which will have the ability to eliminate or resist the disease causing microorganisms. Students, in the every day we will subjected to the harmful microorganisms which is present in our surrounding environment. Okay, so those microorganisms which will enter into our body which may not cause diseases, all the microorganisms. So what is the reason is that we are gifted with what, that is a special power, what we will call it as, that is the immunity. So while you come to the word that is immunity, it is derived from the Latin word that is what we will call it as the immunis. What we will call it as immunis. This immunis means to exempt. What we call it as to exempt, to eliminate. What we will call it as eliminate. Okay. So this immunis, I repeat once again, this is the Latin word. The immunity is the Latin derived from the what we will call it as a Latin word immunis, means to exempt, to eliminate, what we call it as. So here we should remember, that is the definition, immunology. The immunology is the study of immunity and the immune system together, what we will call it as the immunology. In our body, whatever the microorganisms which is enter into our body, so it will be destroyed, it will be killed, okay, by our a special power, what we will call it as the immunity. So this immunity we are having. So here in this chapter, though, we are going to discuss about in detail. So what is immunity? Immunology. So immunology, I already told, immunology, it is the nothing but so the study of immune system and also immunity, what we will together, what we will call it as the immunology. Students should remember here, that is by name Edward Jenner. So he who, that is a pioneer of what, that is the discovery of the vaccine against the smallpox diseases. Okay, smallpox diseases ಗೆ against ಆಗಿ ವ್ಯಾಕ್ಸಿನೇಷನ್ ಅನ್ನ ಕಂಡಿಡ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಒಂದು person, what who we call it as, that is Edward Jenner. That's why he also called as, popularly known as, what we will call it as, that is the father of immunology. What we will call it as father of immunology. Okay, so very next, that is while you come to the types of immunity, the types of immunity is of two types. One it is, that is the innate immunity. The one it is, what we will call it as the innate immunity. Another word we can call it as, that is the inborn immunity. What we will call it as, that is a inborn, means that is the immunity we are having in during the time of birth itself. Okay, we are gifted with that birth only. Naturally it is present in our body. Okay, so what we will call it as the innate immunity. That's why hence the name, that is a inborn immunity. The second type of immunity is called acquired immunity. The what we will call it as the acquired immunity. It is also called as the adaptive immunity, also called as adaptive immunity. Let me discuss in detail, that is what is innate immunity. The innate immunity, while you come to the definition and also the meaning, that is a non-specific immunity and also gifted immunity. So non-specific immunity or gifted immunity. So and also it is called as the innate immunity. The innate immunity, I already told that it is inborn immunity. The immunity we will how we will that is what we will which is present in our body during the time of birth itself. We are gifted with that power to that is fight against the diseases which will caused by the harmful microorganisms. So what we will call it as inborn. This is also referred as non-specific. Why it is referred as non-specific? So this immunity, this power which is present in our body, so it is fight against different kinds of microorganisms which is present in our surrounding environment. It is not only the particularly the specific microorganisms which will kills. Okay, it will kills the different kinds of microorganisms which is entering to our body. There is no specification for the that is disease resistance. Okay, so that's why it is also called as the non-specific immunity, and also it is gifted immunity antanu ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. So why it is called so gifted immunity? So we are having the power, we are having the gift by birth itself, okay, which will resist against the diseases. That's why it is also called as the gifted immunity. Okay, so in order to understand what are the that is non-specific and also that is innate immunity we are having in our body, so here so many different types here we are going to discuss here. The one, it is what we will call it as the physical barrier. One, what we will call it as the physical barrier. The second one is that is a physiological barrier. The third one is the cellular barrier. Then fourth one is the cytokinin barrier. The students should remember the 4 different types of barriers in the innate immunity. What is innate immunity? The innate immunity is the what we call that is the the immunity which we have within the birth itself. What we will call it as the innate immunity. Okay, so here the innate immunity, the first type, if we go see this, the physical barrier. The physical barrier, so what we are having the outlook, that is the example we quote, I written here, the skin and the mucus. Okay, the 2 different types of what that is examples I have written here for the physical barrier. One, it is the skin, another one, it is the mucus. The skin, it is the outermost surface of our body. Okay, so in which that is a squamous epithelium ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಲ್ವಾ. So those skin which will protect what, that is the entry of the harmful microorganisms into our body. Though this is the skin in which it will gives what, that is a physical barrier. And also the mucous membrane. So the mucous membrane, where that is the different or inner lining of our body, that is a naturally opening in our body, like what we will call it as, that is a nostril chamber, and also the trachea, lungs, okay, respiratory tract, which is lined by inner wall of the these organs lined by this mucous membrane, a gelatinous substances which will forms as a membrane. Okay, what we will call it as the mucous membrane ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. Okay, this mucous membrane, what it will do, it will functions what, that is whenever the microorganisms through the air and also it will enter into our body, so it will traps the microorganisms, ಹಿಡಿದು ಇಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಳುತ್ತೆ. Okay, traps the microorganisms in order to avoid completely into our body. What we will call it as the physical barriers. The first one, what we will call it as, that is the physical barriers. Example, the mucous membrane, so which will traps the microorganisms, and another one, it is the skin. Okay, and very next, that is a physiological barrier. So what we will call it as, that is the physiological barrier. The physiological barrier, in the sense what, that is after the physical structures, okay, whenever go inside the digestive system and also the excretory system, the different functional systems we will see. Okay, So in that, what that is the lysozymes and also the another example HCl. So these two, they acts as a physiological barrier ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. So one we can call it as the lysozymes. The lysozymes are the antibacterial enzymes which is present in our where that is a salivary juice and as also that is a tears ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಕಣ್ಣೀರು ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಲ್ವಾ ಅದು. Okay, the lysozymes, this is the antibacterial enzyme which is present in our salivary juice in our mouth, which is produced by the salivary glands. Okay, whenever the food that is we are chewing inside the mouth by the process what we'll call it as the mastigation. So in that food, so whatever that is in the food, the bacteria, harmful bacteria, it is present. So these lysozymes, what it will destroys. Okay, destroys those bacterial organisms. And also tear, whenever that is the organisms and also some of the external organisms which will attack our eyeball, what immediately what happens, our eyes, it will gets filled with the tears. Okay, so these tears also it will contains what that is the lysozymes. So these lysozymes also what that is which will destroys the those microorganisms. Then another one example for the physiological barrier is that is the HCl. Okay, the HCl, it is present secreted by in our stomach by the gastric glands. Okay, gastric glands as a gastric juice. Whenever the food it will contains what that is a harmful microorganisms in our food, so with the help of this HCl acid which is secreted by the stomach by the gastric glands, in which it will destroys the microorganisms. So this is what the physiological barrier which is having that is the lysozymes in the salivary juice and the tears, and also another one it is the HCl. Okay, which acts as a barrier. The third one is the cellular barriers. The third one is what we will call it as the cellular barriers. Okay, so here the after the physiological, when there is a microorganisms which will enter into our body, very next it will trying to enter where that is a blood. Okay, so in the blood the different types of cells it is present. Which are those cells? That is a phagocytes. So what we will call it as the phagocytes. Okay, phagocytes are the cells in which what that is these cells which will engulf the solid microorganisms which will digest inside. Okay, which will kills inside those cells. Okay, so this what we will call it as the phagocytes. There are actually two types of phagocytes are there, the microphages and the macrophages. The microphages are what that is neutrophils, and the student should remember the macrophages are the monocytes. Okay, so I repeat once again, the cellular barrier example what we will call it as the phagocytes. Okay, phagocytes ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. So after the physiological barrier, that is whenever the microorganisms enter into our digestive system, after that where it has to enter where that is through our blood. Okay, so in the blood the different types of cells, that is the cellular barrier, those cells example we can quote here, that is phagocytes. Okay, so these phagocytes, they are of two types. Okay, first of all, what are phagocytes? The phagocytes are the cells which will engulf the solid microorganisms. Okay, microorganisms which will digest inside, those we can call it, which kills inside that cells, what we will call it as the phagocytes. There are two types of phagocytes. One, it is the microphages, that is example neutrophils. All neutrophils, they are called microphages. The macrophages, they are also called as the monocytes. The monocytes and the neutrophils, they are participating in the phagocytosis. The cells which are involved in the phagocytosis, they are called the phagocytes. Okay, very next, that is cytokinin barriers. Okay, the cytokinin barriers. So here, so after the physiological entry and the cellular entry through the blood, where it will reaches to the different tissues and the organs. ನಾವು ತಗೊಂಡಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಒಂದು ಫುಡ್ ಫಿಸಿಕಲ್ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಮೌತಲ್ಲಿ ಮ್ಯಾಸ್ಟಿಗೇಟ್ ಆಗಿಬಿಟ್ಟು ಸ್ಟಮಕ್ಗೆ ಡೈಜೆಸ್ಟಿವ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮಿಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಡೈಜೆಷನ್ ಆಗಿ ಡಿಫ್ರೆಂಟ್ ಬ್ಲಡ್ ಮುಖಾಂತರ ಡಿಫ್ರೆಂಟ್ ಆರ್ಗನ್ಸ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ಟಿಶ್ಯೂಸ್ಗೆ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ. ಅದೇ ರೀತಿಯಾಗಿ ಮೈಕ್ರೋ ಆರ್ಗ್ಯಾನಿಸಮ್ಸ್ ವೆನ್ ಎವರ್ ಇಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಎಂಟರ್ ಇನ್ ಟು ಅವರ್ ಬಾಡಿ, ಸೊ ಇಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಟ್ರಾವೆಲ್ ಥ್ರೂ ವಾಟ್ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ physiological system, and also after the digestion it will distributed into the different parts of our body like different tissues and the organs. So here that is in the tissues and the organs some of the barriers it is present. Which are those barriers? That is a cytokine barriers. The cytokine barriers are related to the where that is a different tissues and the organs. So first of all, what is the definition of the cytokinin? The cytokines are the low molecular weight proteins which acts as a signaling molecules. Okay, so what I repeat once again, these are the low molecular weight proteins which acts as a signaling molecules. Okay, so these cytokines where it is present, it is present in the blood itself. Okay, which will acts as a barrier for the tissues and the organs. There are two types of cytokines. One it is the IFNs and another one it is the ILNs. Okay, IFNs and the ILNs. So IFN stand for interferons, ILN stands for interleukins. Okay, IFN stands for what? Interferons. ILN stands for interleukins. Then IFNs, it is a type of cytokinin that is produced by what? That is a viral infected cells. ಯಾವ ಒಂದು ಸೆಲ್ಸ್ಗೆ ವೈರಲ್ ಇನ್ಫೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಆದಾಗ ಈ ಒಂದು ಯಾವುದು that is interferons, they are giving signaling to fight against what? That is that type of microorganisms. Okay, and interleukins it is nothing but these are the cells of our body that is in which it is produced by the type of leukocytes. Okay, so this is the type of cytokine that is interleukin which is produced by in the blood. So in which it will produced by the type of what? That is leukocytes ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. Okay, so I repeat once again, cytokines are the low molecular weight proteins which is functions as a ಸಿಗ್ನಲಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಲಿಕ್ಯೂಲ್ಸ್. ಓಕೆ, ಸಿಗ್ನಲ್ ಅನ್ನ ಕೊಡುತ್ತೆ ಆ ಒಂದು ಸೆಲ್ಸ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ಟಿಶ್ಯೂಸ್ಗೆ ಅಟ್ಯಾಕ್ ಆದಾಗ. ಆ ಎರಡರಲ್ಲಿ ಆ ಒಂದು ಸೈಟೋಕೈನ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಎರಡು ಟೈಪ್ಸ್ ಯಾವುದು? IFNs ಮತ್ತೆ ILNs ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು. IFNs and the ILNs, they are interferons and the interleukins. Interferons, they are produced by the viral infected that is viral infected cells. ILNs, it is produced by the interleukins which is a type of cytokinin, so which is also a type of leukocytes. That's why interleukins ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. So this is about the details of the innate immunity. Student, this is very very important. You should remember in the examination, explain the innate immunity or non-specific immunity or gifted immunity with different types of barriers which is present in our body. Why it is called so innate immunity? Because it is the inborn immunity. During the time of birth itself we are gifted with this power. Okay, that's why it is also called as the innate immunity. We came to remember end of this class what we have learned in this class. That is what is immunity? Definition of the immunity: ability of the organism to resist or eliminate what? That is harmful disease causing microorganisms and the immunology. Immunology, it is nothing but what? The study of immune system and also the immunity. Together what we will call it as the immunology. And the father of immunology is, that is the Edward Jenner, who is responsible for the discovery of the, that is a vaccine for the deadly disease, what we will call it as the smallpox. And the two types of immunity, innate immunity and the acquired immunity. And in this, the innate immunity we already discussed in the detail, that is the innate immunity and its different barriers. Thank you.